was that one weekend shaped the rest of my life, Jack. So my song Call, I wrote this words all about that night. So yeah, to me it's like really important. I'm sort of want to try and like bring people to that moment, and even the song, it's very gospelly. The music,
it's beautiful.
Do you like it? Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I do. Welcome to the heart of it. I'm joined by Emma Mould today, and it is really exciting to be with Emma. At the time that this will go out, her new single will be available, but it's literally out today, the day of recording. So we're going to chat a little bit about that. So it's great to have Emma join us. My name's Jack Robson. I'm part of the team here at AStepFWD, and it is such a pleasure and privilege to get to spend the next 20-ish minutes chatting with Emma.
Yay! Hi, Jack.
Hey, it's great to have you.
Thank you.
And so I see you have a cuppa like I do. What have you got in your mug?
Right, I've got Earl Grey tea.
Good old Earl Grey, nice.
Yeah. What have you got?
Hot chocolate. Good old hot chocolate.
Okay, nice.
It's a very wet weather day, and I felt hot chocolate. It's just that soothing, comfort, warm thing needed.
Absolutely. A typical English summer's day.
It is, isn't it? You would have expected. Of course. So diving right on in, can you tell us a little bit about your new single out today? It's called Cool. What kind of inspired it? What brought this song together?
Well, this to me actually, Jack, is one of the most important singles I've actually released or songs that I've written. When I was 14, I had there's no neat and tidy way of saying all of this, and I wish that I had a really normal story, and like everybody else, I was just one of them people that grew up believing in God or having a faith or whatever. But I didn't. I had a really controversial childhood and an unusual upbringing for various reasons. And I won't go into all that right now because we're focusing on the song. But the song, in essence, it's called Call. And it's about my first encounter with Jesus when I was 14. And I was 14, but I was in a car, I didn't know where I was. And I was under the influence of something else that I wasn't aware of. I'd been out clubbing with my cousin. She was a dancer actually at the time, danced for like Hitman and Her and Take That.
Oh, wow.
She was older than me, and I used to tag along and go to all these what I thought cool places. And we used to get ourselves into some real sticky situations and into bother. And one night I didn't drink. I actually chose to not drink alcohol or do anything because kind of growing up, I'd seen the effects on people that I loved. I saw the effects of substance use and abuse and recreational drug use. I saw what it did. I didn't want it. But one night we got our drinks spiked. And that particular night, I genuinely think I would have died. And I was in a car and with a person I didn't know, and they wouldn't let me out the car. And this word came to me, and it was call on the name of the Lord and be saved. And I was in this really like dark place in my mind, probably the influence of whatever it was I'd been given. And I just thought, call on the name of the Lord, Jesus is only, I knew it was Jesus. So I started to just shout, Jesus, help me, Jesus, help me. And I kind of expected this immediate, I don't know, something, but it was really quiet. Nothing happened. And I thought, oh no, what's going to happen? It was really dark. Like it was literally, I felt like this blackness around me. And then the car crashed on this big long road in Moss Side in Manchester, Great Western Street. And I thought, that's it. Oh my gosh, I've died. That's why God told me to call on his name. I'm 13. I've died. So so I've waited for myself to come out my body, like in that film Ghost, where so I thought, oh my gosh, I'm actually dead. And then the same kind of voice just said, get out the car. So I was like, oh, and the other guy was unconscious on the steering wheel. There was no airbags back then. So I just sort of like, I opened the door, the gear stick had gone through my trouser leg. I get us out of this car, I looks in, and I'm like, I'm actually alive. And then I get in a taxi, it's 4 a.m. Gets in this taxi and says, "Hello, could I take?" He didn't even know I'd got out the crash. Anyway, cut long story short, I got home that night and it was extremely traumatic. And I just knew that God had been with me. Jesus had met me, and I felt this something around me. I felt like something I'd never felt before. Whoa. And I just said, right, if I don't die tonight, don't die like from whatever's gone on, I'll go to church on Sunday. And literally, I went to church the next Sunday, so it was a Friday night. So 2 days later, I'm sat in church, and everything that the pastor was talking about, like preaching, it was a Pentecostal church. It was lively, it was absolutely on fire. And everything he was saying to me, not to me, sorry, but it felt like he was saying everything. It felt like he was saying it to me, and I was like, I just stood up and walked to the front of church. You know, like when you're like being arrested, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm responding like that, like totally didn't care. I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to do stuff in church. I just thought, I've got to give my life to Jesus. I've got to ask him into my life. And so it was a massive. Well, it didn't feel massive at the time. It felt like a really small experience that I had, and it was quite private, really. It was just between me and God, you know, even though it was kind of public how I just walked to the front of the church. But it was that one weekend shaped the rest of my life, Jack. So my song Call, I wrote this words all about that night. So yeah, to me, it's like really important. I'm sort of want to try and like bring people to that moment, and even the style of the song, it's very gospelly. The music,
it's beautiful.
You like it? Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I do. I was listening to it. It's like, oh, it's something that calls you higher. It's something that made me sort of feel, I've got to look higher, but you feel this upbeatness and this rhythm that I couldn't be still. I'm not a great dancer. So I didn't like dance, but I couldn't be still. I had to move. And I think it's beautiful, the song, hearing your story behind it as well. It's like, whoa, what a story.
Thanks, Jack. That's amazing. That's so encouraging. I genuinely, like, when you write a song, you never know what it's going to do. And there is an element where I thought, you know, because I've done a lot of in secular, I do gigs that are not necessarily church gigs or gospel gigs. I'm always sharing God's love in my songs, you know, and no matter who's the recipient, generally, I feel I do connect with people.
Yeah.
This song I know is quite, you know, it's like I'm saying Jesus. It's a proclamation. It's personal. So I was feeling a little bit like, I wonder how people will. I wonder if, you know. But so far, it's been received really well. So I'm really excited. My local BBC Manchester, I'm going on Sunday on Mike Shaft's show, and
amazing.
On Sunday morning, which is really amazing. So so I'm really grateful.
That is incredible, and I feel like I just need a few hours with you just to hear more about that night. That's like, I'm captivated in that story. That's incredible.
For years, Jack, I didn't really share it with loads of people because I thought, how can I tell people that I kind of encountered Jesus while I was kind of tripping? And it wasn't. They're just gonna think I'm some stoner that went and did loads of drugs and had some weird drug experience. But if it was just drugs, it wouldn't have lasted till now, you know. And I just know that, like, and even if you know, at the end of the day, whatever people think, for me, belonging, when I went to that church that Sunday, and I sort of like, they prayed with me, and I knew I needed to unravel explore Jesus and unravel because you could have told me that Moses was Jesus's brother and I'd have gone, oh really? Because I didn't know anything. I just knew I met Jesus, and that was it. I knew his mum was called Mary. I knew we celebrated him at Christmas. I knew that, you know, he died I knew about Easter, very, very minimal stuff. But so the church I was at really discipled me, and they were very patient. I mean, one of the first times I was in church, like in a house group, I was off the. You got to remember, I come off the streets, you know, as in like off. I grew up on council estates, and it's a very different culture to what maybe people are used to in church. So one of my first experiences in a house group was I dropped the F-bomb, which I'm really not proud of. But I'm just being really honest, and I didn't know that was offensive.
Yeah.
So this guy got me aside. He said, if you carry on using that language, you're going to have to leave, you know. And I was like, what language? I didn't even know I'd swore.
Yeah, just hadn't. Yeah. Whoa.
Well, they were dead patient with me, actually. They were really nice. And like, I just felt like I got this new family. And there was a bunch of like, that's another reason I've got the song the way it is, because I always say to people, I just felt like we were a bunch of hillbillies on a journey together. And that church, by the way, it's called the Lighthouse. It's in Media City now. And it was about 30, 40 people when I went there. And then it's grown to about 1,000 plus now.
Oh.
I was there 28 years. It's my home church. So Pastor Paul Hallam and Mags Hallam. So I've like such a special place in my heart for them guys.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I could stay here for, as I said, I could stay here for hours. I'm aware where we've got a nice little block. We'll have to come back. We'll have to do another and dive into that a little bit more. Brilliant. But you also do, well, music far and wide. As you say, it's incredible. You're going to be featured on your local BBC as well this weekend. But I've seen you're back into gigs. You're back into live events. What is that like? Given the time we're recording this, we've had COVID, we've had 18 months worth of nothing on one level. What is that like, being back out there, gigging, live events?
Scary, Jack. It's scary. Like, I was so nervous doing I did my first gig last weekend, you know, and it was an outdoor gig, so they're always a little bit more frightening, you know, because I live up north, so it rains like twice as much as it does in the sunny south. So, and I've got a really expensive guitar, and I always think, oh my gosh, don't get damp, don't get damp.
Yes.
So, but yeah, it was frightening, to be honest, as in like, that's for me. I was just feeling very unconfident. Can I do this? And what if I can't do it anymore? And all these questions were there, and, you know, but I'd already took the booking and agreed. And so my husband, who's dead supportive, Dom, he just took me along, and the kids came with me, and it was fine. It was a really nice, mellow experience. It was a little bit touch and go at that particular gig, actually, but it was good. The people that booked me are great. But it was getting used to, you know, like feeling a bit insecure, and the songs still connect, you know. Can I sing? Can I stand for an hour on stage with my guitars? Because you get out the habit, you do the live stuff on sitting down, chilling out in your house with your brew, but get yourself stood up on a stage with a couple of heavy guitars and singing, and the wind's blowing plastic at your head and your feet, and there literally was on that gig last weekend, plastic blowing around the, you know, streets and onto the stage, and just it was interesting, but it was a relief to do it, and I'm really thankful. The bookings are beginning to come in, and I'm excited. I've got a couple of interesting ones coming up. I've got a skydiving event I'm singing at some skydiving. Somebody's doing an event.
Like jumping out of a plane with the guitar.
Not me. No, not me. No, they're raising money for loads of charities, and they booked me. They booked me last year, so that's an interesting one. But yeah, I've got some like local, you know, like cafe, pub, bars, a wedding, a couple of weddings. So it's just beginning to trickle in. I need them, but we need, you know, artists. It pays our bills at the end of the day, doesn't it? So, but yeah,
that's amazing. And so you've got things lined up, you've got things coming up. When you look at them, you're saying there's something slightly frightening about them, but is there also something in it of like, oh yeah, this is what I'm made to do, this is what I love, with that frightening? Absolutely. Yeah, when you just get up there and you close your eyes, and then you begin to just, you know, release the song and release the melodies and whatever comes out, when you know, and you're releasing it out into the airwaves, and it's a relief, because it feels like it's a bit like having constipation. You feel like you just got to get this stuff out. You know what I mean? It's like not able that as a musician. I think you feel a blockage when you
get to really perform. And I feel really fortunate that during lockdown, I was able to do live streaming through Facebook and
Yeah,
other,
yeah.
kind of things. So I was able to kind of at least express some of that. But it was really hard lockdown. I think it messes with a lot of people's heads, or some of us anyway, where you begin to just, you can get into your own head and start thinking, this is really ruined. Like, I was meant to release my album last year and I just couldn't release it all. And so you begin to think, has it gone past its sell-by date? Are these songs still, is this the right time to release this? And I think artists we complicate things for ourselves. We just overthink everything. So you're right. Once you get into, you get on that platform, everything's working. It's great to hear the sound of live music through your monitor. You're thinking, this is it. This is why I'm doing. This is why I do what I do. This monitor's ringing out. It's sounding great. People are smiling. People are chilling out, walking past, stopping. It's really nice. Yeah.
That's amazing. That is incredible. And I think there is something, like I know through some of the church context as well, there's something now with the fact we can all sing as well. And so I think there's something about the live gigs when people unify together. Oh, it's incredible, isn't it? Just the vibrancy. Music connects, and music can unify from that walk of life and that walk of life, bringing people centrally around whatever that song is, whatever that melody is, whatever even just a simple, I say simple, but even just a simple like piano melody can unify people. So it's incredible to see you back out there gigging, producing.
Doesn't it? I think music absolutely changes the atmosphere wherever you are, and it brings hope, it brings peace, it brings life. It can actually like stir up the feeling of pain for people when you're singing about something. It brings it up in another person, but it doesn't stay at the pain threshold. It can actually activate a healing property. And music is such an important thing. And I think we've even seen during this pandemic that it's often undervalued. It's not honoured. People don't realise how important music is. It's one of the most effective forms of therapy I've ever tapped into personally, and I mean, that's why I do what I do. It started off like shouting and screaming on my guitar on my own in my bedroom, as a dysfunctional, angry teenager who was processing a lot of pain and a lot of hurt, but also trying to sort of like connect this new life that I found in this amazing like friend that I'd found in Jesus. All of that stuff, my world was extreme, and so music for me was an amazing like sort of expression and process, bring all of that. And I don't know whether that made sense, but
it did to me.
I have to edit that bit. It makes sense there. We'll just cut and delete that bit, cut, paste and delete.
I said it to the team, but no, I think that's so true, isn't it? Because it is just this expression, and I think there's something so beautiful about connecting with various forms of expression. Like you hear these songs. I was chatting with someone the other day of like I can pinpoint where I was when I listened to certain music, where I was when I bought my first CD, or so it connects you in. There's something that almost presents you in a moment, and as you say, can release such healing properties and processing, and all of that is beautiful.
Absolutely, I love it. It is a gift, an absolute gift from God. When it's used right.
Well, so talking about processing, to kind of wrap up some of our conversation together, I know.
Starting out.
Where's it gone? We will book another in. We'll do another. But where do you find you can process life with music? Because I know from talking with you, you've got life. Life happens. There's no way of skipping the elements of life that go on, family, commitments, all of these things. What is life like as you're juggling kind of life and music together? Because music fits into it, but is also its own section? How's that work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think at my life, especially because I'm a mum, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter and sister and everything, and you know, I think it's a tricky thing to juggle family to even any no matter what job you've got when you've got kids and teenagers and pre-nagers, they need you at that time. It could be a few years, and you know, and I know my daughter won't mind, but she's had a lot going on, and she's sort of like the diagnosing of that she's on the spectrum, but it was they'd missed it, so she'd had an especially hard time in teenage years, and I don't ever usually talk about that, so she might kill me, but I don't think she will. But she'd had a really difficult few years, and I needed to be with her, and
Yeah.
so I've actually just really, she's been my priority, and obviously that's influenced what I've written about. So
Yeah.
her experience as a young girl, watching her go through things reminded me of myself, and then my mum and my nan sharing their life experiences as a child and a teenager, and what happens is, all of these things, they come into my mind, they're flowing through me, and then it affects the things you're writing about. And so I think this album, the latest one, Exquisite, I've written it in regards to, I focused on the character Eve. So I wrote it as the backstory of it was, imagine Eve in the garden, and imagine when all the fall happened and she was locked out, as it sort of the Bible sort of suggests. But if you reread that story like I did, so I often reread it like an infant, I realised that actually God actually went back and stitched them clothing. In fact, it says that he killed an animal for the leather, or for the skin or whatever. And I just sat there and I thought about the process. Now, if God was so angry and disappointed, which he probably was, if you can't stitch things in anger, you'll just prick your finger. Like I'd stitch stuff up, and you've got to be mellow. You've got to kind of, your thought goes into what you're doing. He would have made that to measure, made that to fit. He loved them. He didn't just banish them, and And I think, I don't know, you probably know so much more than me, but with these Bible stories, I have to actually go and really read it to. It's still, I never had that Sunday school experience, I was reading about, and for me, Eve just jumped out of the story, and I thought, actually, I don't think it was over for her and God at all. And I think Eve, there was a conversation, and there was conversations that went on, and there was an after story. So I wrote my album, Exquisite, kind of around Eve. So the first song's called Eve's Song, and I loved this beautiful picture. I saw it, and it was Mary pregnant with Jesus, obviously, and Eve was stood there touching her belly, and the serpents wrapped round Eve's ankle or foot, but Mary's foot has stomped upon the serpent's head.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah. So obviously all these things about women and what we go through, and the suffering of women, and and don't get me wrong, I know men suffer. Gosh, we humankind suffer, right?
Yeah.
But I wrote the album a lot to do with women and Eve, and the things that women have carried, even through the Bible stories, and then into life now, and the things that because of what my daughter had gone through. It was my priority, and my life was wrapped up in her, and in praying and hoping for her, and still am. It's like, it's scary when you're a mum to teenagers. It's scary. And I've got a preen boy. He's 11, so I'm thinking, oh, I don't know if I've got the energy for all this. You never know, I might have an album, Adam's song come out of it all, but so yeah, it totally is. It's part, and it totally shapes your music. I think the thing was, practically, I have seasons when I write, and then I record, and then there's a shelf time while I focus on family. So I've struggled to do everything all at once all the time. So I will compartmentalize. You know, like this is a season of writing. And then don't get me wrong. There's people that come and, oh, Emma, can you do a collaboration? And I might be recording something else, but I'll write a collaboration there. So I think it's just organising and structuring things like with family. But your family, it doesn't matter what your job is. They come first, don't they? So I don't know if that answers your question a bit.
It does. That's a wonderful answer. And actually, really quite beautiful way to wrap this up. There's so much in this 20 minutes, or however long it is we've connected for, and we're definitely going to have to dive in again. But thank you for getting right to the heart of it with me today, and I look forward to doing it again for sure. Just as we wrap up, if people want to find you, if they want to check you out, where can they find you on social media or on Spotify, all those kinds of places?
Brilliant, Jack. Everywhere. So my name's Emma Mould, M-O-U-L-D, thanks to my husband, Don. On Spotify, iTunes, come and connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Tidal Wave, or I don't know. There's all these crazy new platforms that I see come up on my phone. But yeah, I'm on all of it. Amazing. So come and do, like, I love interacting with and meeting new people. So that's a really nice part of my journey. I've really enjoyed that in the last year, meeting people, because it's all been online. So I've made a lot of new friends and people, you know, messaging me about songs and music and life and interviews I've done. I just love it, because that's why you do this stuff, innit?
It is.
Connect with people and you know, and do life right now while we're all on earth together right now.
Exactly. What a wonderful way to finish. Thank you for your time. Also, if anyone's interested in finding out more about A Step Forward, you can find us across all various forms of socials, writing in AStepFWD. So come and connect with us. Look out for more of the heart of it. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Emma, for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, Jack, and A Step Forward, and Dennis, everybody. You're great. You're amazing, you lot. I mean it. You're great. Thank you.
Thanks, Emma.